Hello my friends, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Novella and today I want to talk about the books that I've hauled recently. I've hauled some second-hand books and some new books. Let's start with the new books. So this is the bag that I bought at the shop. Look with the kitty cats. Nice, huh? The kitty cats. And so what's in there? So she gave me this. Action is the foundational key to all success. It's like an agenda, I think. Notebook. Looks good. And then what else is in here? There's always stuff in here. Oh yeah, there's something else. Always a pencil. Normally she adds candy, but I asked her not to, and she adds a whole lot of bookmarks, so that's always fun. If you buy one book or 10 books, it doesn't matter. Now, because it was, oh no, she put in some candy. That was 5 or 6 candy. And then what did I buy? So she wrapped them nicely for me because it was raining like crazy when I bought them, when I visited her. And I was planning on buying one book, but yeah, she forced me to, well, she really took me by the arm and she twisted it around and then she pounded my head against her what do you call it, her table. And she said, "You will buy more books." It was horrible. I was so afraid that I bought 6 books. And yeah, it was a horrible experience. I will definitely go again. So what did I buy at Nabokov, my friends at Sint-Truiden? It's a really, really small shop. She's only open twice a week because it's too expensive. She really only buys stuff that interests her, and she doesn't sell things like the Seven Sisters or anything that is really, really popular. I will show you something else. Look at that cat! Look! 4.5 months. That's great. Look at it. Look at it, small, but I love her. She's so fluffy. She's so fluffy. And she hates it when I do this. So, what did I? This book haul is rather big, but it's with an intention. So, Ollie is starting again the Read What You Own challenge. I think at the beginning of November somewhere, 4th I think. And I want to join him, and Ollie didn't mention that, but he bought a lot of books of him beforehand. He's such a cheeky guy. So the first book I got was by Mohammed Mbougar Sarr. Mohammed Mbougar Sarr is now translated into English. Well, I mean by that his, not his debut novel, but his most successful novel, The Most Secret Memory of Men. This is a wonderful novel that won the Prix Goncourt in 21. I've read it in 22 and it was for me my most favorite book of 22. The book is now available in the US as The Most Secret Memory of Men, and it will come out in the UK only in February 2024. I don't know what the reason is for that, but anyway, I think it's a brilliant novel that you really have to put on your TBR, your to be read list. This is a magnificent novel, The Most Secret Memory of Men. This is the story about a young Senegalese author who heard about another African author who became really famous really quickly, and was awarded for, nominated for several awards, but then a lot of people made claims that it was plagiarism and the man disappeared together with the book. There were only 6 copies left anymore, and he wants to find one, and if possible also the author, and to find out what has happened with him. It is more about, of course, how serious do people take African literature, and do they value it just as highly as European literature or American or Russian or whatever. So it's a really good book. It is really refreshing. It is really well told. It's creative. It's original. It has a really good vibe, and it's exciting to read a book like that. And I highly, highly recommend it. The Most Secret Memory of Men. Now, I also I hope that Sean will finish it. Sean the Book Maniac, he's reading it right now, so I'm really hoping that he loves it. Now, he has a new novel out, and it's called A Real Man by Mohammed Mbougar Sarr. And this is set in Senegal, and there's a little clip that is going viral in Senegal, and it's about an angry mob who is digging up the body of a man, and they take him through the village. And there's a literary professor who sees that clip and gets fascinated by that man, and he wants to find out who it is, why they are digging him up and dragging him around the village. And it turns out to be that he is a man-woman. That's the name they have for a homosexual. And I'm really curious to read this book. I will start with this one right away after this video. And then I also bought a collection of stories by Patricia Highsmith. It's called Bloemen voor Louisa, Flowers for Louisa, and Other Early Stories. This never came out in English. It only came out in Switzerland or in the German language. Frauen, I believe, or ladies. What was it? Frühe Stories. Ladies' Frühe Stories. So I'm really curious to read this one together with Ollie from Criminoli. We are reading Patricia Highsmith's complete catalog. We are halfway in now. She wrote 22 novels. So we are going to read in November her 11th novel. So we are right in the middle, and we are really enjoying the experience. It is fun to see, if you read it all in chronological order, how an author develops and what tastes do they have, and the types of protagonists that they really like to work with. And I'm really curious to read these. I am not a big fan of short stories, but Patricia Highsmith is Patricia Highsmith. I have to read it. So I'm maybe this will come out someday in English. I'm not sure. But Ladies' Frühe Stories, Flowers for Louisa, and Other Early Stories. Now this is a Dutch author. I've met her a couple of times. She is Sholeh Rezazadeh, or Rezazadeh, and she is Iranian. She lives now as a refugee in the Netherlands. She came quite late to the Netherlands. She was like 16, 17, and she learned Dutch in a really quick pace, really fast pace, and she is now an established Dutch author. Her debut novel came out 2 years ago, I believe. It's called De Hemel is altijd paars, the heaven is always purple, or the sky is always purple. And I really enjoyed that book. It won the award for best debut. And now she has written a second novel, and it's called I Am a Mountain That Waits for Me. I know a mountain that waits for me. I know a mountain that waits for me. Ik ken een berg die op me wacht. Has some really good reviews. I'm looking forward to reading this, and I will send her a message if I loved it or not. Then Hilary Mantel, another short stories novel. It was published first as, what was it? Learning to Talk, goed leren praten. It has raving reviews, 5-star reviews everywhere. So apparently it is really, really, really good. I'm looking forward to reading this. We always talk about Hilary Mantel and her Thomas More Cromwell series. I think that she wrote a whole lot more than just the Cromwell series, and we should honor that and read more of her. Now, while I was being forced buying books, Catherine, told me that I had to buy this one. It's a debut novel by an Irish author named Sara Baume. It's called Seven Steeples in English, and we call it Weken, maanden, jaren, weeks, months, years, and it's about two people that flee the city and go live somewhere remote in near the Atlantic coast in Ireland, and they promise themselves that they will climb the mountain that they always see from the window. But actually it's more a book about how when you live far from society, time doesn't really matter anymore. That's what this book is about, and apparently it's really, really, really good. So yeah, Seven Steeples in English by Sara Baume. And then another Dutch author that I really enjoy. So Niña Weijers is a phenomenal writer to my taste. She has one book that is translated into English, and that's called The Consequences. I don't know whether it was a good translation or not. I never hear people talk about it, but in Dutch, it's a really good book. It's a debut, of course, so it's far from perfect, but I really love the freshness of her writing style. Now, I'm not sure if this comes across in the English translation. Like I said, the story is far from perfect, but she is a good writer. And I think she knows that she is more of a good writer than a storyteller. That's why she more and more evolves to essays and short, not really stories, but short texts about life, and a more Joan Didion kind of writing, and she's really, really good at it. Now, a couple of years back, there was a murder case in the Netherlands. 15 years back, there was a murder case in the Netherlands where a young woman disappeared. Her name was Cassandra in March, and they found her body somewhere in April. And but they never found the killer or the people who attacked her and killed her. And so she is investigating the murder and the disappearance, but she doesn't try to come up with answers because, you know, in life we are always looking for answers and reasons and victims and bad people, and we always want to have answers for everything because it gives us a sense of security, but that's not always possible. there's not always a reason. You won't always find a reason. That's what I want to say. It's like my little niece who is suffering from leukemia, very aggressive leukemia. And she is only 32 years old and she lived a very healthy lifestyle. So she never drank, never took any drugs, ate as clean as possible. And yet still that wasn't enough to stay healthy, because sometimes things happen to you and it is very, very difficult to accept that if you don't have a reason. Like if you would have been a very heavy smoker and you would have lung cancer after 50 years, you will accept that it's your own fault and you had lung cancer because you were an idiot and you smoked 10 packs a day. I don't know. But sometimes things happen to you, horrible things happen to you, and you will never know the reason why. And this book is, in a way, it discusses that in a way, I think. So I'm really looking forward to reading this one. Then I also bought a couple of non-fiction books. Whenever I sell my books that I didn't like or didn't want to hold on to, and when I want to make some room in my shelves or on my shelves, I sell through an app, and then I don't ask to put the money on my bank account, but to keep it as a credit. And then when I see something that interests me, I buy it with my credit. And these are the books I bought with my credit. So there are there are two Dutch speaking books, and the rest is in English. But this is Claire-Louise Bennett's debut, Pond, I believe. I don't have no idea what it's about, but apparently it's very good and funny. No idea what it's about, but it was only like 2 or 3 euros. It wasn't much. Turns out this belonged to a very famous Belgian TV presenter who had a TV show about books in the Netherlands and in Flanders. And then I also bought The Pious Dance by Klaus Mann. This is the first English translation of this key novel of the 20s, which initiated the literary exploration of the decadent Berlin underworld between the wars. Painter, cabaret performer, writer, its autobiographical hero, Andreas Magnus, is a portrait of disaffected Weimar youth alienated from the old Europe and dwelling on the fringes of big business, the art world, and creativity. Klaus Mann gives us a story of adolescent longing and sexual ambiguity, which is, despite its subsequent imitators, unrivaled in its portrayal of the gay underworld of its time. The Pious Dance. And then this one is also not translated into English in a way because, this is an early book. It's written somewhere, in 1911. The sisters Loveling, this is Virginie Loveling, are a bit like the Bronte sisters. They were both authors, and they have a very well-known nephew too, which is Cyril Beuys. They lived very close to where my grandfather lived, and they all knew each other. My grandfather was a natural storyteller, but he wasn't a writer. And they all knew of my grandfather. They often came and listened to his stories. So the Loveling sisters were there often, and Cyril Beuys. They used a couple of his stories as a sort of source of inspiration Now, I don't think in this book that's the case. This is called Revolverschot. This is the story about two sisters who are longing for the same man and something will happen. This was written in 1911 and is republished quite recently, but this was mostly written in a dialect that I know, that I speak, which I think is my first language. It is completely different than Dutch, and this is a revised version, but I've noticed that they didn't always get the meaning of the words the way they should, and I don't care because I understand them. So yeah, a gunshot, that's the word, a gunshot. Then I also got R.C. Sheriff's Journey's End, set during the First World War. Journey's End concerns the lives of a group of British officers on the front line and opens a dugout in the trenches in France. Raleigh, an 18-year-old officer fresh out of English public school, joins the besieged company of his friend and cricketing hero Stanhope and finds him dramatically changed. It's a good one for World War November. Then I also bought Animal Farm by George Orwell. I read it in Dutch a long time ago. I want to read it in English for the first time. And maybe I will do that during Remember December. Frankenstein, never read it, by Mary Shelley. I will do this forthwith. And I also bought Gentleman in Moscow by Amor Towles. And then I also bought online, but it was very cheap, the next one we are going to read, Those Who Walk Away by Patricia Highsmith. This is our November buddy read. So yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching. I hope you like my books. What are the books that you would like to read, even if they are not translated or whatever? Maybe I can push a little somewhere. And yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one. I did. Well, I enjoyed buying this by force, of course. By force. Blunt force. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.